Hello, this is Frank. I'm here talking to Professor Neil Fox. Hello, Neil.
Hello, Frank.
Or should it be Professor Neil?
Neil's fine. It's only Professor if you're in trouble, and you're not in trouble.
Not yet. So we're here to talk about the conference that's happening, the British Popular Culture Network Conference, which is happening on the 9th, 10th and 11th of July. And you are one of the originators and organisers of this?
Yes, it was actually the idea of my colleague, Dr. Kat Flint-Nichol, and it came out of a lot of conversations we were having. But yeah, we did the first one last year and set up the network with a load of other people interested in British popular culture.
So what is considered British popular culture?
Anything really. We're a very open church, as they say, and yeah, anything that historically would have been considered popular. So anything from I think we've got a paper on meaderies in Cornwall, and obviously we're happening at the time of the World Cup, which would be considered, popular culture. One extreme to the other there, I guess, something very local and something very global. But yeah, all things in between, as long as we can remotely or tangentially argue that it's popular and British in some form, or speaks about British issues, then we'll include it.
And so there are academics that are studying these things.
Yeah, there's a whole load of us who are really curious in all the weird sort of niche things in every area of culture: music, fashion, art, photography. And the network and the conference is a place for all of us sort of nerds to get together and have some fun thinking through some of the ideas and how they relate to wider things like, British society in the 2020s.
I understand that the Thursday and the Friday are up at the university and are really sort of for academics, but there is an event on the Saturday at the Cornish Bank that's open to everybody.
That's right, yeah. So last year we did a free public day at the Cornish Bank, and it was really important for us to bring the things we were talking about on a university campus into public spaces, sort of fulfilling that remit of a university being civically engaged in the community. And Cornwall, I've lived here for sort of 13 years and I love it. And there's such a vibrant kind of culture, but also kind of conversations around culture. And there's something that happens when you're in a space thinking through these things with a variety of people who work in cultural institutions or cultural spaces alongside academics and just people who are interested, which is just the general public. So it's free at the Cornish Bank on the Saturday. It's also, if people want to come by to the university, we had a couple of people last year who were kind of curious because they'd seen some of the papers. Members of the public are welcome as well to just sort of come along if they're around. Because I think that one of the things we really want to do with the network and the conference is build a community and be part of the really rich community here in Falmouth and Cornwall.
And you would think the fact that it's popular culture, that it's something that is a lot more accessible than perhaps the more niche things that happen at the university.
Yeah, there's some very, very broad, big things there. There's a paper on Oompa Loompas, for example. So yeah, it is accessible. But also we found that, and one of the things we're interested in is that popular culture is a way of smuggling in big ideas around identity, representation, class, gender, into really accessible things that people enjoy. And it's almost like humour. It's a way of sort of getting these ideas across in ways that are not elitist or exclusive or, as you might think, commonly associated with the academy or the university or something.
And what are the things that are happening at the Cornish Bank? What are the sort of headline things that will draw people in?
Well, I guess the big thing that's going to draw people in is a talk by Graham Coxon from Blur with his partner Rose Eleanor Dougal. So they're in conversation with Dr. Johnny Lamb, who's on the organising team for the conference. And yeah, he's managed to get them to come down to do a talk about their work and their sort of relationships. So that's obviously a huge draw. And again, that event's free. But then in the evening, they've agreed to do a small band set as The Wave, which is a ticketed gig at the Cornish Bank. So we're absolutely kind of delighted to have that there. And that'll be I think that's sort of late morning following a sitar performance, which is going to be, cracking morning at the Cornish Bank. Also,
you've got local hero Mark Jenkin, who I believe you're talking to.
Yep. So I've just come back from the States with Mark for the US release of Rosa Nevada. Because I'm a kind of annoying friend of his, I always say, can you come and do this stuff? And he's always up for it. So, yeah, we're going to be in conversation. We're going to be talking about Mark's engagement with sort of film culture more broadly. So, because he talks a lot about his filmmaking, but one of the things that's really interesting is like his love of cinemas and just being a filmmaker in terms of like engaging with audiences and travelling as a kind of Cornish filmmaker. So there'll be lots of stuff there for people to enjoy. And people can ask him how he's been getting on, because he's been having a grand old time travelling the world with this amazing film.
I also understand that he is doing some research for his next film. Yes.
I'm not going to talk about that because I'll get in trouble, and he gets in trouble for talking about it. But yeah, he's going to be doing something quite different, I think, for his next film.
What do you think that the university, Falmouth in particular, can bring to the conference that it being somewhere bigger upcountry might offer?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I think one of the things that really attracted us about doing it here for the first couple of years, so it's important to say that it won't be in Falmouth every year. The idea is to have the conference in different places where there's a similar relationship between sort of local popular culture and a university. So, but what we really loved about doing it here was the rich history of culture, music, film, but also art, photography, performance. You know, there's such a rich kind of cultural history in Cornwall, which made it kind of a natural place. Being in an arts university and having that there's so many amazing colleagues who are going to be presenting work at the conference. Like it's got a really good. There's a really good relationship between the people who work at the university and the people outside, even if that's not always at the level of institutions. It's on a kind of local community level. It's a really rich. It's a really rich environment. So it kind of made sense that he would be good. And obviously it was attractive to people to come because there are kind of signifiers of Cornish culture, Mark being one, Aphex Twin being another one, Knee High, you know, these things that people know in their kind of artistic fields in universities or elsewhere. They kind of know something, or, you know, Barbara Hepworth or whatever. It's like there's a rich history that people are kind of interested in. And Falmouth's just a really beautiful place to visit. So any chance academics can get a little bit of funding to come here is going to be taken, I think.
And how do you feel that Falmouth University is doing at the moment?
I think we're doing all right. I think, like a lot, universities are in a difficult position and have been for a number of years. Arts institutions, any kind of institution that has a predominantly arts or humanities focus has been under a challenging environment for a very long time. I think that Falmouth's weathered a lot of what's been really difficult, particularly post-COVID, really well. And yeah, I think we're still here, which I think is a lot, you know, given some of the challenges that other departments and other universities are facing. And I think a big part of that as well is that I think there's been a shift in the last few years in terms of the university's role within Cornwall. You know, I think that there's been a huge shift in terms of not just being something which is based here, but actually being embedded, integrated, and from here. I think there's been a shift there, which has definitely helped some of those challenges be more supported in terms of the community in Cornwall.
And I do think it does bring a spotlight on us and bring people down and make people think about Cornwall in a different way.
Yeah. And I think another reasons for doing it at the Cornish Bank as well is like somewhere public in town, but also shining a light on what's already going on here, like you say, you know, so bringing people down and helping people understand that this is not necessarily the place that they think it might be. I grew up in Luton and I lived in Luton before I moved here, and a lot of my work there was doing exactly the same from a very different position. We have different challenges in Luton, but it's the same thing of saying, actually, you know, you might have an idea of this place, but coming here and experiencing the life and the culture here shows you actually it's not like you imagine. And yeah, we're just kind of almost piggybacking on a load of really great stuff in terms of film and music that's already going on, and hopefully just bringing an academic light on that, but not, sort of certainly helping, trying to help the community kind of get even more visibility for what is amazing culture here.
So if any of our listeners want to attend the conference or come on the Saturday, where can they find out more about that?
So there's a page on the Falmouth University website for the British Popular Cultures Conference, and the free day is available from the Cornish Bank website, and I think they use Fixer for tickets. So the tickets for the daytime at the Cornish Bank are all free, just reserve a space on there, and in the evening tickets are available. I think there's a few left for the evening gig, which is a paid gig, but is featuring Graham Coxon and Rose Eleanor Dougal, who'll be talking during the day.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for coming in, and good luck with the conference.
Thanks for having me.
Back to the studio.